Not only do we get to have holiday music more because it's December, we actually hear the choir 3 Sundays plus 2 candlelight services. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Again, welcome as we begin the month of December. And the theme for the month is Let There Be, ... I love ellipsis, so ... Let there be, because we have 5 Sundays in December, and there are many opportunities to let there be the greater glory of Spirit in all that we share throughout this month. And indeed, yes, today is a special day. First of all, we're still, I believe that this is the 4th day of Hanukkah. So happy Hanukkah to those who are celebrating part of the season of lights, as well as it is World AIDS Day, and it's an amazing opportunity to not only acknowledge and commemorate those who have transitioned as a result of the HIV virus, but the shift I really want us to take, because of who we are as a center, is the idea of education and upliftment and changing people's minds and understanding so that ignorance goes away and new information and healing possibilities are made available, as well as a greater compassionate heart for what goes on. And I thought about it today, and I'm wearing my little red pin that I got back in the 80s. It's amazing and sad to me at the same time that I still have it and need to wear it. But it is a perfect day to do so as we go forward in acknowledgement of that. The very first day that acknowledged such a global health thing, as well as actually, if you don't count the yellow ribbons around a tree, this was really what began what many of us have come to take for granted when we see a colored ribbon that brings our attention and our awareness, and that's what we do here, awareness and mindfulness, to some sort of organization or cause. So let there be, and today is let there be light. I thought it was a great idea to bring the start of the holiday season with Let There Be Light, even though it might come later, because it is the season of lights, the festival of lights, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, all the things that we get to do, lighting candles before the new year. So I wanted to begin so that we could shine light on this month, this season, and this path, this holy season. Remember the word holiday, which we're so used to, happy holidays. It makes me laugh. It's politically incorrect now to say Merry Christmas or something, right? But we're allowed to say happy holidays. Well, holiday is actually holy day, so I don't know why we can't, we get to say happy holy day, but we can't say Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy you. I mean, we need to be able to allow all of that as we shine light on that which we are in the greater expression of Spirit, particularly this sacred month. First of all, I also want to say thank you to Reverend Christine Jeffers last week for guest hosting while Don and I were away for acknowledging our anniversary, and Reverend Terry, who hosted for the day. That was quite wonderful. And as I said when I started it, it feels like I was only gone one Sunday, but Don also alluded to the fact that I have been moving through this upper respiratory blessing, the gifts of the season that keep on giving. So I had laryngitis for many days and still have that, and I'm still kind of clogged, but I'm moving through that and acknowledging the blessing. So it does feel like I haven't been here for a while. So it's nice to see you again as we move into this idea. So in Genesis 1, that book thing? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And verse 3, and God said, let there be light. Oh, somebody knew that. Oh, gold stars. Let there be light, and there was light. All right, so, and then it goes on, and God saw that light was good, and it separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, etc., etc. What I want to bring your attention to, being religious scientists, in addition to maybe having some typical Christian background, and those of you who knew that, God said, let there be light, there was light, and God said the light was good. Let there be light, bada bing, there was light. That's no small task. And I mean that both in the sense of some greater energy, infinite intelligence, suddenly determining and affirming that there was light, is exactly the same infinite intelligence and capabilities that we each have. That's what I want to bring our attention to this season. Let there be light. Now, most of the time when I say light today, I'd like you to envision it with a capital L, because I'm talking about that greater light, not just the illumination of light, but the greater light of God that is within us. And to remind you, to maybe tell you for the very first time, if you're new to this teaching, that you have the ability to affirm, claim, and let the goodness of God, God being within you, the light, shine through you, for you, and as you. You get to do that. It isn't just the privilege of some high, lofty being that does not exist, or from the old geographical concept of heaven, someone up in the sky that, kind of goes, let there be light, and James Earl Jones reverberates the voice, and then there is light on the planet. This is something that from Genesis all the way through Old to New Testament, including Jesus the Christ, which means the lighted one, the enlightened one, begins to teach us. And I actually love the fact for December because I get to talk about Jesus the Christ a little bit more. People are a little softer about that. Many people who come to religious science come from stricter spiritual traditions and faiths and religions. And so sometimes they come here and they don't want all of that stuff and they don't want to hear about Jesus because it means something else. And yet, if you read our textbook or follow anything from Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, he adored Jesus as much as he adored Emerson or Emma Curtis Hopkins, etc., and so forth, or Sri Aurobindo, the teachers. Ernest Holmes loved his light, capital L, teachers, and one of them was indeed Jesus the Christ. So we get to talk a little bit more about that. And so from the beginning in Genesis all the way through, let your light so shine before men, women, children, and animals, that the activity of God knows of itself through you, as you, and shines the light on the path that you walk. That's this season. So then, of course, I went to my second favorite book. Science of Mind is number one. Well, maybe it's two. The dictionary. That's probably my first because I had that before I found Science of Mind. Light. We all know this, right? The natural agent that stimulates sight and makes things visible. Source of illumination. Lamps. Those of you who need the scientific side as well as the ethereal side, visible light is electromagnetic radiation whose wavelength falls within the range of the human retina and responds. Well, we are religious science. We are science of mind. So we have both the ethereal and the philosophic as well as the scientific facts that support what we teach and believe. And that's hugely important because we're not just airy-fairy, new age, new thought people go, oh, life's good, isn't it great? We really have scientific things, principles, and ideas that support what we teach and preach. So by the way, white light consists of roughly equal mixtures of all visible wavelengths, which can be separated to yield the colors of the spectrums. Newton found that out. And then in the 20th century, it's now become apparent that light consists of energy quanta, I like that word, called photons. And they behave like waves and partly like particles. Well, doesn't that describe us? Sometimes we're kind of like waves, and sometimes we're like particles. That we're photonic in our own beingness, that the light of God knows of itself through all of the spectrums of the colors of the rainbow, meaning the colors of the rainbow of who we are. And any of us who have taken, particularly when we were kids, when you took a piece of glass or a light prism, and sometimes those crystal prisms, and you held them up to the light. Now, the crystal may have looked clear or white, and then you hold it up to the light, and you see the spectrum of colors and the rainbows. I see us individually as no different than that prism of light. All that we need to do is perhaps stand open to that or get the things that are in our way out of that, which reminded me of another thing, which you know I love, which, show tunes. There's a show called Godspell that was also back in the 80s, and it was by Stephen Schwartz, and there was a song sung about let your light so shine before men, and it comes from Matthew 5:14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and giveth light unto all that are in the house. So Stephen Shorts went on to say, you are the light of the world, and if you're hiding your light under a bushel, that's kind of crucial because you're missing the point. You've got to stay bright to be the light of the world. So let your light so shine before men and women and children and animals, so that they might know some kindness again. Let your light shine. We all need help to feel fine. Now, in the show, we all need help to be fine. Then in the show it says, let's all drink some wine. But you don't have to go there. The idea is knowing that you are that light of the world. We all need help to feel fine, for we're the light of the world if we don't have ourselves under a bushel. The tallest candlestick is not much good without a wick. And that's exactly what we're talking about in Matthew. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick to give light unto all who are in the house. Well, you can look at that, not just a house that you go to that has the doors and the walls, etc. You could look at it as we did all last month with our homecoming, that this spiritual center and community is a house of God. And what I'd like you to look at is that each of you are individualized expressions of God. You are a house of God. You walk around as a pretty cool looking container, because I've seen all of you, that you walk around you are containing God in all that you think, say, and do. Would that not change how you might show up in the world if you really thought of yourself as a God vehicle? You might dust yourself off a little. You might take the bushel off so that your light would shine. So that the light of you, the way that headlights on a car shine before you to see the path, that the light that is within you, generated by Spirit, would be so radiant within you that all men, women, children, and animals would see it, and it would project before you to make clear your path. And that all that came into your view, sometimes fun things, sometimes different distractions, sometimes blessings that look and feel like something less than light, that you get to shine your light, capital L, upon that to understand it. The word light has so many connotations. Truly, when I went to the dictionary, and first I cut and paste so I could do that, it was about 3 pages worth of the different nouns, adjectives, and all of the stuff that light means. Light means something that's not heavy. Light is the illumination. Light, then they go into, which we all like here, which is the understanding of a problem or mystery. Enlightenment, spiritual illumination by the divine path. That's in the dictionary. We like that. I like to see that there's that concept, and then we see the light, understand or realize something after prolonged thought or doubt, and we undergo religious conversion. Well, okay, that's a bit of a stretch for me. Undergo religious conversion, but the idea being that when we walk through a path, or perhaps one of our headlights is out, and as we're going down the path, we do not see as clearly, and maybe the path is a little bumpy and wobbly and dusty and tricky. But as we walk through it, there comes a sense of light when we begin to understand and begin to release the doubt, the fear, the negativity, the worry, the erroneous thinking as we teach it. So if we're feeling darkness, it's usually because we have some sort of external, usually egoic, bushel over our vehicle of God. Because the light's still there. We know, we've seen many demonstrations that light dispels darkness. So if you have something that is lit, a bulb, something, a candle, and you put something over it, you may not see, it may not be as bright, but the light hasn't gone anywhere. Well, that's much like what happens to each of us. We're walking through our lives, our day-to-day stuff, and there's stuff that happens. There are difficult things. There are ailments. There are challenges. There's doubt. There's fear. There are people in pain. There are typhoons. There are world epidemics. There are stubbed toes. There are all sorts of the range of things that might seem to change the radiance of our light. The idea being that if we allow ourselves a spiritual practice, if we allow ourselves the compassion to trust who and what we are, that whatever is blocking, whatever filter, whatever bushel veil is there, that the light hasn't left. But often what happens for each of us, well, okay, I won't speak broadly. Well, what can happen for one, and certainly has happened for me, is that when you're feeling puny and not feeling well, or you're feeling negative and sad and doubtful, or you're feeling angry, you're moving through something, it feels as if the light is gone, doesn't it? It feels as if that candlestick, the wick is gone, and then the flame has gone. The light has left me. Whoa, 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 or one of the others. You know, we beat ourselves up. It's negative, it's dark, and then it's like, why? How come? Why me? Why this? What happened to the light? Notice, well, maybe you can't see out there, but I close my eyes. It's like, where did it go? It has not left. And if we can begin to cultivate that idea, at least a simple idea of that, we may not organically own that just yet, but if we can cultivate the idea that the light has never left, nor will it ever leave, then we can kind of right ourselves, take ourselves off from whatever we've been doing and begin to remove whatever trappings have stood in the way. And as I was preparing for the talk, I was looking at, all kinds of resources about light. It was interesting to find in the Concordance for the Science of Mind, some of the quotes that Ernest Holmes has about that were all linked to faith. And I found that curious in some odd way. I never put the concept of my, capital L, light, with my faith. Now, I realize it's kind of all in the same mixture of being a spiritually practiced individual. I do have faith, I practice faith, but I had never put the two of them together. But Ernest goes on in all sorts, in the beginning of the book and later on towards the end, he talks about being in that light is activating and allowing the faith. And I guess when I started to translate it back, it means that I have to have that faith of God within me that the light does not change. It is not gone when there is darkness or clouds on my path. That I must stand in the faith of God, in my spiritual practice, in the philosophy that I teach or preach or believe in or speak about, that faith is the light of God, even with all the human stuff that comes in my way. So I was thinking about that. Now, that seemed all grandiose. And then, I found this wonderful quote. Tell people there's an invisible man in the sky who created the universe, and the vast majority will believe you. Tell them that the paint is wet and they have to touch it to be sure. George Carlin. Love it. And I thought, oh my gosh, yes. I mean, we grew up with it, and of course, as a child, it's a whole different concept. When you're told something by the adults that take care of you, that something is true, right? You believe that until you get old enough to maybe question it or change it, of course. And yet, we still believe these certain things that we hear or that are advertised or promoted as being the truth. The capital T truth, by the way. And so we do that, but then when we say to someone, oh, no, don't touch the paint's wet or the stove is hot, you go, oh, really? Oh, yeah. We have to do that. And then I realized, well, what that is, humorously approached as Mr. Carlin did, is really about faith. We have faith that there's some guy invisible in the sky. We have faith that the oven is hot after you've had it turned on. We have faith in various things. All we have to do is really look at the outpicturing in our lives, and you'll be able to kind of dissect it back and figure out what you've got faith in because you're manifesting it. And by manifestation in religious science, we're talking about you demonstrate it, you're outpicturing it. Those are the effects in your life, show you a path of where your faith is, that you have a belief. And this is December, this is the season. You've seen lots and lots of holiday signs that say believe. The Polar Express talks about believe. Well, what do we believe in? Well, that's up to each of us to kind of identify, to figure out. So if you're seeing things in your life that you do not like, and I'm not talking about the ones that kind of come and go, something simple, but kind of repetitive ones, chronic situations, whether they be health or financial or relationship or creative or any of those things, and you see them over and over again, it's telling me that there's faith and belief in that being your truth. And if it's uncomfortable, if it's challenging, if it's something you'd like to change, then you need to change the filter that's on the light. These wonderful lights, they're not all white. Yes, of course they have white, they have the spectrum colors of which I spoke, but there are filters. There are color filters on them. And ask anybody who's done any lighting, whether it's in a house or a theater, that you put different filters, you put different wattage of bulbs. Do you still have wattage if it's now the CFC things? But anyway, you have different power light sources. I should talk to Robert O'Neill about this because he makes lights. I should find out. But you have different power of the light that's going in the bulb or the light. Then you have different colored filters or different shades. And that's going to change the light that's reflected, is it not? Well, there are times when you are choosing a different colored bulb, a different filter, or a shade because you want to project that ray of light. But there are other times when you just have so much stuff and there's all these layers on you, and your little light is just like a little sterno light. It's there. It's just an itty bitty sterno. And or it's like one of these little lights here that, just that little flame. We must fan that flame. If the light that you are is not projecting the capital L light that you are, then we must step back and look at what it is we need to change our faith and our belief in order for that light to so shine ever brightly, so that you know without a shadow of a doubt that ye are the light of the world. So I was thinking about light, and it was like all that going on, and then I thought, I want the softer part. I want the light of my being, the lightness of my being. So I found myself reading last night Hafiz and Rumi. Mystics. Hafiz, his poetry particularly, he was back in the 1300s. He spoke and wrote to the complementary nature of our humanness, but in such a poetic way as to remove all of the stuff, the filters and the lampshades, and get that out except for the experience of light. And as with any mystic or poet, whether it's Hafiz, Rumi of eons ago, or people like Mark Nepo currently, or, that talk so poetically and elegantly and mystically, here's just this one little tiny thing from Hafiz. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky. I get chills when I say that one. It's like it just went shimmered down me. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky. So if we, as these individual candlesticks, using all these metaphors, can step out of the way instead of saying, "You owe me," or "You done me wrong," or "Why," etc., if we can say, yes, all that happened. I'm not saying that you pretend that there are not difficult times and circumstances and people in your life, but if you can get beyond that, look what happens. You can light up the whole sky or the world around you, the path that's in front of you. And when I talk about that, I don't mean it just in the sense of, well, you need to light the path for the world around you so that everybody else may be uplifted, etc., etc. Well, that kind of is my job description. It's about lighting the way for you, for each of us individually. It's about lighting the way so that your path is glorious, so that we do not have to struggle and strife. We don't have to make it so hard to be a human on this planet. We chose to be here. Golly gosh, wouldn't it be nice to now choose to have a good time while we're here? I truly, 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 truly believe that's our purpose. Joy is my purpose. Now, it may outpicture somewhat differently, as joy is my purpose, and my purpose is to be here on a Sunday morning and share these ideas. Or my purpose is to make sure the dog gets walked and fed and the cats are cared. I mean, there are different levels of purpose. It doesn't have to be the purpose of, I am going to find the world's greatest mousetrap and change the world. I think we get too caught up in what our purpose is. Our purpose is joy. Now, let everything else be added unto that. Oh, yay, joy, I get to go to work, I get to do this. Yay, joy, I get to call my mother, my spouse, my boss, whatever. Joy. And we're going to get to let there be joy when we get through for the month. Don't trust me, it has to be there. Because this is the month where everybody kind of says, oh, gladness, tidings of comfort and joy. Okay. It's kind of like last week when we had Thanksgiving. Yes. Then everybody started suddenly, all you have to do is look on the internet or television. Everything, whomp, goes to Thanksgiving and gratitude. Hello, 364 days before that. Where were you? So we have a whole month that we get to court and dance with everybody else on the planet, celebrating no matter what holiday, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, etc., a season and a festival of lights that are within. And wouldn't it be nice that if this time, this season, somehow the majority shifted enough that the light remained on after the holiday season? That come January 2nd, whoa, look, I can still see my way. It isn't back to same old, okay, it's nice having the holidays, but I gotta go to work, I've got this problem, This is what we do. This is what I've been called to do. So I can take accountability and responsibility for that, but then I will charge and ask you, why are you here? Not the bigger picture, well, we'll get there. Why are you here in this spiritual community? Why do you come and listen? Why do you turn on YouTube? I had a lovely compliment from a congregant who's been unable to be here for a while that has been listening on YouTube, or watching, or listening, I don't know. And it was like, isn't that fabulous? That we get to do that, the light is going out into the, and then suddenly I got very self-conscious. Small s, very small s self-conscious. Really? Okay. And yet, that's the purpose. To let our light, this spiritual community's light, so shine before men, women, children, and animals, so that we are living, loving, and learning together in such a grand, solidified, affirming way that the light is always, what was that, Tom Bodette? The light's always on? The Motel 6 guy? Leave the light on for you. Something, we could change your name to Motel 7 or something. Maybe not, okay. Not going there. Why aren't we leaving the light on? I know it's December, but school's not out, so I'm giving you homework. This season, before we get too caught up into the festivities and the bows and the sparkly paper, I love sparkly paper. Distraction. I do it, you do it, but before we all do it collectively for this holiday season, let's ask that question. Why don't we leave the capital L light on for ourselves? Because, as I began with, the capital L light is always on. It's only each of us that put a filter, a shade, a box, or better, sometimes, I know I've gone through phases in my life where I'd have a filter. Ooh, it's still not cool, it's not safe out there. And then I'd put a shade. Ooh, it's still kind of scary out there. And then I would put it in a box, in a box. And at least I was in a box, and there was a little bit of light sneaking out, and maybe, kind of like a kitten in a box where it makes, the box is moving, something's in it. That was me. But then it still wasn't safe out there, so I put the box in the closet. And every so often I'd be like pulling out from the box in the closet, I'm still here. Fortunately, Spirit and I had a covenant, I guess, and brought me to this teaching and a long path using spiritual practice and meditation and prayer, a lot of Kleenex, more spiritual practice, meditation, prayer, more insight, wisdom, people, practitioners, ministers, books, etc., so that I got out of the closet, got out of the box, dropped the shade, got the filter off, and then the light starts to shine. That is the charge for each of us. It isn't just for anybody that's up here or anybody that has a title in front of their name or anybody who has their own website and television show, et cetera, you know. We get stuck with that. Oh, that's for celebrities, VIPs. That's for ministers, doctors, et cetera, et cetera. The light does not change. The light is ours. Eternally, infinitely. So I guess I'm being charged with, I'm going to take us into a little process, please. For those of you who are new, all that means is close your eyes, put stuff out of your hands, or get still, get comfortable. And the reason I ask you to close your eyes, it's not a secret mystical thing. What it really does is it allows you to focus. Some people now, if you're a Buddhist and you practice meditation, you know that you can kind of look ahead of you. But for a lot of people, that's too distracting. You don't want the sparkly lights and the minister who waves her hands and gesticulates as grandly as I do to distract you. And so take a breath. And as you're in the breath, and you're sitting in the chair, there may be just the smallest sense of uncertainty. Uncertainty about, well, what is she going to say? What is she going to ask me to do? For some, that uncertainty may be listening to the still, small, quiet voice within. What will it tell me? Is it going to answer that question? And whatever the uncertainty, just breathe your way through it, past it. Know that you are here. We're together. We're doing this in the collective consciousness together with an intention of wholeness, with an intention of inviting the light. So whether you're visual or not, because some can see wonderful images in their minds, others can't. That's okay. Affirm, know, and let that light shine within you. You've seen enough movies to kind of visualize for yourself as if your individual body, is that vehicle and container for spirit. Just fill it with light. Might have colored lights. It might be white light. There might only be the E.T. heart light. Whatever that light may be. Just for a moment, at least, even if you can't see it, know and affirm with us, each of us, that that light is shining within you. That ye are the light of the world. Breathe into it. And know that that light continues to burn. That we're leaving the light on. And then take a breath and be bold enough to ask of your higher self, why is it, or what is it? What is it that keeps my light from shining? What is it that keeps my light the small l instead of the capital L? And if the litany or the list starts to come in with all of the reasons and disclaimers why, just listen to it. No judgment. Don't get sucked into it. Just notice it, kind of as if it's a ticker tape that's above your head saying, my light doesn't shine because I didn't have a college education. My light doesn't shine because right now I'm unemployed. My light doesn't shine because my significant other broke my heart and left me. Any or all of those, as they come up, just notice them. Let them have a moment crossing that kind of ticker tape sign that you see in Times Square. But no judgment, Don't get pulled into it. And then take a breath and now turn off that ticker tape sign, or that feed, like the MSN feed that's on television now that always keeps reading with scores or news clips while you're trying to watch a program. Just turn it off for a moment and get still again. And as you bring your attention back to the breath, bring your attention back to that vehicle that contains that light that's on, even if you don't see it or feel it right now, but know that it's there. And then ask of your higher self, what would it take to have a brighter light, to change the filter or the shade, or to use a bulb that's higher wattage? What would it take for me to shine my light more brightly and unencumbered? Ask that of your higher self. And then as the answers come, or maybe it doesn't, because it feels big and scary to get that answer sometimes, know that you have set an intention and an invitation for Spirit to reveal to and through you whatever it is that seems to be standing in your way, real or imagined, old or current. And breathe again and again. Let it all go. Breathe in, and to the sound of my voice, just become aware of the breath. Don't need to change it. You don't need to ask any questions. Just be here now, in your body, in this chair, in this center. And from here, we're going to go into a closing prayer. Right thinking has the power to overcome darkness and negativity. Right knowing has the power to give you the skills and the tools to know how to make those changes. How to bring forth, to invite, to allow, to let there be light. And so I know and accept right here and right now that that greater activity of God, known sometimes as light, the infinite intelligence of the universe that shines its glory in and through each of us, that I am one with that light. All that God is, all that that light is, I am. And I am grateful to know and align myself with all that I consider to be of the light, the lightness, the enlightenment, the glory, the ease, the peace, the joy. I let that be mine here and now. Those affirmations we spoke today is about letting that be. The light, the love, the joy, the peace, the wholeness, the abundance, the love. And I know and affirm right now that whatever it is that has stood in my way, whatever it is that has blocked my thinking, that I bless it, for it served its purpose. And I don't even have to know what the purpose is, or maybe I do. I bless it, I release it, and I let it be, so that I come forward in the activity of God that I am so clearly, so brightly, that I even see my light. And I let it shine before me and as me into all areas of my life. My physical body temple, my work, my relationships, my creativity and expression, my purpose. And I am so grateful for that. I am humbled and quietly enthusiastic that yes, 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 I am this and more. And yes, 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 I have permission to let my light shine. And if and as we walk along that path and we are letting the light shine, if someone starts to squint at us, we lovingly hand them a pair of sunglasses called Infinite Truth so that they may see their own light, but that it does not block my way. Light. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence. Thank you, all of the wisdom teachers who handed a thought, a prayer, a word, something that kept the light shining. I'm grateful. I'm confident. I'm even going to be boldly arrogant, as Emma used to say, and let my light shine now. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I affirm this, and with such great confidence, I release it into the creative law. That's our scientific part, because the law of mind will now outpicture, manifest, and demonstrate what we put in there. Grateful that I have this new way of thinking and feeling and shining. So in gratitude for that, I release it, I let it be, and that I ask that you join me together. We say, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are. Amen.